Just share it on Facebook real quick so we can get our Facebook. You know, Facebook, IG, Sadior Radio. We recording for YouTube and for the podcast. Damn, you can't say you couldn't find us. Look.
We here.
We uploading to Facebook. This public go live and
inside deflection and then Buchanan straight to the rim. Again, Marquette, when you turn it over in a live situation like that, you're not going to have enough time to get back. Murray sticks
live on Facebook and go ahead, Miss Darkchild. You can introduce us. We live on Facebook.
Good evening, Thursday.
You got your mic. You must got your real quick. Hold, Dark. You must got your mic covered because you sound muffled. I barely can hear you.
Which one?
The Zoom.
Hold on. Let me switch over. How about now?
There you go.
I understand. I had to switch stands.
Let's get busy. Simply D, you keep jumping off, coming back on. I don't know what's going on.
Good evening.
Still sound awful.
Welcome again. Here's the 18th of March, right? Welcome everybody.
Doing a nice job of
an open conversation.
On the other side.
Right.
You low. Why are you so low today?
Me?
Yeah, you keep being low.
I don't know why.
Wherever you got your mic, you low. What's good, y'all? What's good? You're listening to Sadior Present Open Conversation show here. Conversation is more than music. What's up to our IG viewers, our Facebook watchers, and our listeners that's on Sadior Radio. And for everybody that's watching this afterwards on our YouTube channel, Sadior Radio, and the podcast listeners, Sadior Radio. Damn, I feel like I done did the whole show after you introducing it.
Sound a little bit better?
No, step back, fall back a little. Say something.
Well, I sound a little better.
Yeah, a little better. Go ahead, you got it.
All right. Welcome to the Sadior Presents an Open Conversation with your host, the Philadelphia Princess of Comedy, Ms. Darkchild, and the man to my left and to my right. You know who he is. He needs no introduction. And he's definitely going to get this name of this show.
You still sound muffled. I can hear you because I'm struggling, but I know the viewers and the listeners can hear you. Y'all know, go to your office. That's where you should be at, in your office. That's why you got the whole sound booth and everything done. You trying to relax in the room. That's why you go.
I had my foot up. So
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you still low. Simply D, I know Simply D is on. He's going to jump in and out. Anyway, I know we all over the place today, and it's going to be rough for me because I just left the dentist probably 10 minutes ago. So I apologize for our tardiness coming on a little late. I apologize to our guests also for being a little late. That's why I pushed it back a little bit because usually we bring our guests on 6:30, 6:45. So y'all probably won't catch the beginning of the show, but you catch the important part of the show, and that's bringing my man Will. That's cool if I call you Will, or what you want to be called tonight.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Will, bring my man Will on. He was on our show maybe 4 years ago. It was around 4 years ago, I think.
No, it was longer than that.
It was longer than that?
9 years ago.
It was like, I know we was on the other situation of Clinton Avenue.
Yeah,
and,
that's way a while ago.
Yeah, and we talked about some things. So yeah, it was like maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Time flying, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Can't keep track. Plus, so much going on. It's hard to So introduce yourself to everybody for me. While Miss Darkchild get herself together as far as on her end, and what you do and why we brought you on tonight, which my opinion, you are an important part of everything that's going on. People like yourself is trying to balance this whole thing that's going on out here as far as the craziness, you know, and I see you got a building. Salute to that also. So
Yeah.
tell us about what's going on with you.
Well, right now, I'm working on, my focus right now is to actually um, reestablish the RFP movement, which is Redemption, Forgiveness, Peace. I started this probably 2015, the actually organization, which is stemming from the Power of Forgiveness documentary that Fox News did on me and the brother who life I took, his brother actually, and another friend of ours, to discuss the issue about, losing his brother's life and me taking his brother's life and what happened in between that and things before his plot against me, trying to take my life for a while, a long time now, and then we came to a point of forgiveness, and we have a real good conversation, deep conversation the first time we met, and we decided to take this a little further, to show the world that there's other ways to solve disputes opposed to just picking up a gun and taking revenge or killing someone. I know everyone don't have the strength to do that, so it took a certain amount of strength for this guy to really come to a point where as though he can actually talk to me face to face, face his brother's killer face to face, and then have a conversation like that. And some of the problems that we have today is a lack of conversation that ultimately goes left, and then goes to violence or a loss of loved one's life in general. So you look at all the murders that happened last year, probably 90% of the murder was motivated by arguments. I'm saying, or it was actually what you call a revenge murder based on some kind of argument that someone else their life. So just looking at the art of conversation and how you actually can be able to communicate with people and express yourself in a better way. So we decided to reestablish the RFP movement, which we did like the barbershop mentoring at one time. We was in different barbershops mentoring young kids, probably like 100 young men and women we had for like 6 years of that work. And then I went off, start traveling, speaking around the country, and also doing that work in other schools and prisons around the country, and also with a lot of millionaires who also give conferences. So spending my education and teaching those guys too as well, and also learning from a lot of those guys in those big conferences like that happens all around the country. So I decided to, during COVID, I wanted to come back with the information I already had and some of the knowledge I received from other well-educated men that you ain't gonna find in the college nowhere. You only find at those kind of conferences. Information I gathered from them and came back to Philadelphia to start teaching that in Philadelphia. So one of the things I really knew. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's step back real fast.
Okay.
For those that don't know the beginning of your story.
Okay.
Explain a little bit more about the beginning of your story.
Which one? The beginning as a young kid growing up, or where you want me to start from? The beginning is like when I was a kid. So
start from with a situation where you took the young man's life.
Okay. So
what brought all of that about?
Well, mainly it was about, a bunch of young men in the community raised in single parent homes, dealing with a lot of trauma growing up, a lot of hurt, a lack of education, and direction. And we was on the streets hustling, doing our thing. Got into an argument, altercation with another group of guys, and turned into a shootout at a skating ring. Whereas though I took a young man's life, and another friend of mine got shot too as well. Then we went to prison. I went to prison, facing the death penalty because of all the charges they had against me, like aggravated assault, attempted murder on a witness, and a homicide, conspiracy, and gun charge. So I was really facing the death penalty at first, and then my lawyer kind of got the charges dropped at preliminary hearing, whereas only I was facing life for the one murder and aggravated assault. The blessing of the Creator, I was able to beat the aggravated assault, just get convicted of the murder, and I was found guilty of third degree, which only received initially 25, about 15 to 30 years, like that. But I got some like 5 to 10 years suspended. So I wound up doing a whole 20-year sentence, 10 years in, 10 years out. But during the time I was incarcerated, I took the liberty to re-educate myself and reinvent myself by just seeking information and seeking knowledge on personal development and growth. Because I knew I was a lost kid. I knew I was a hurt kid. I knew I was misdirected. And things I knew that I was better than, especially my environment and the things I was doing. So I wanted to discover to see how great I can become. I mean, and I began to do that. And as I began to transform my life, I began to help other men in prison do the same thing. You know, and I just took on that initiative to just educate our community because there was a lack in our community, a lack of education of self, personal identity, personal growth, all the things that were lacking. And then when I came home.
So did you know this young man?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Okay, so it was like what these young fellas mostly go through now.
Start, child. We lost him. Give him a minute to get back on. What's going on, IG? We trying something new, so work with us. This is Mark 5, Miss Dark Child, Sadior Radio presents Open Conversation Show here the first and third Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Will. He's jumping back on now, so give us a second.
My bad. I got a phone call.
That's all right. There you go. You good.
Go ahead, there we go.
What was your question?
So a lot of what happened was I need to turn.
Yeah, turn down your IG.
I gotta turn it completely off because.
Yeah, turn it down. We don't need to hear nothing. We're not hearing
nothing. It's killing me. So what I heard, you had an argument with somebody else, like these young fellas in the street normally do.
Right.
You handle it the way they handle it now. Comes to the gunplay. But what was it and when was it that you changed your mindset and said, I've got to do something because now I'm responsible, or I feel like I own a part of what's going on in these streets?
Well, I think most likely the change came in when my son was born, when I was incarcerated. A few months later, my girl at the time had a child. We had a son, and that kind of was more of the eye opener for me to say, look, I don't want my son growing up the kind of environment I grew up in, not having directional guidance from his father because I grew up in a single parent home. My father, I'm originally from North Carolina, so that's where I was born at, but I was raised in Philly since I was probably 6 months or something like that. So I knew that he wouldn't be able to survive in the streets that I grew up in, by himself. So I knew one thing I had to do was really help him. So the change started with him. It didn't start with me first. I wanted to do that. As time went on, I started to see myself as being better than the environment I grew up in, and not wanting to be in jail for the rest of my life, not want to be 60, 70 years old, mopping the floors in somebody's dining hall. So that even put more focus on my transformation. I knew that the only way I could be a good father to my son is to transform my life, is to educate myself.
So your son gave you purpose.
Yeah, that's right. He was the why. He was my why initially. And then other things became my why as well.
So how was it that they gave you 10 years incarcerated and 10 years suspended?
Well, they gave me 20 years, really. 10 years I did inside, 10 years I did outside on parole. But they suspended the 5 to 10 years that they had run a while, which would have been like 15 to 30 years altogether. But they suspended that. I don't know, the judge suspended it. So I was thankful for that. But during the time of my incarceration, I just knew that I had to change my life in order for me to be out again on the street and not come back. Because that's my whole goal, never to come back to prison.
So was that the first time you were incarcerated?
Yeah, it was like the first time I was really incarcerated. I was locked up before for drugs, probably like 2 months prior to that. You know, I wanted to beat the drug case when I was in court. For going to court for the homicide, I wanted to go to court for the drug case and beat the drug case. So only thing I had to worry about was the homicide.
So that 2 months that you spent incarcerated on that drug case wasn't enough to make you think, yo, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here.
No, not at the moment. I mean, at the time I was there, I was only there for 3 days, so I built myself out. You know, so I didn't really feel the effects of being in prison. That's the first time I've been caught for anything. I mean, I've been in the streets since I was like 15 years old, doing a whole lot of crazy stuff. But the first time I was caught was for that drug case. And then once I got out, you know, I was chilling. I was home. I wasn't gonna hustle again. But eventually, I became right back into influence, reverted right back to my behavior. Once like a week out, a week and a half back home, I started hanging with my friends again, started being in the same environments again, and then it became natural. I went back to doing the same thing I was doing.
So that homicide, at what point during that homicide, that bid that you was doing for that homicide, that you realized this just wasn't it? This was more than I bargained for. 3 months in, 2 months in, a year in?
No, I mean, I accepted the responsibility in the crime and the punishment when I got locked up. I mean, so I already knew that. I mean, it was over for me once I got locked up. I was just hoping for a lighter sentence during the time. I was hoping that I wouldn't get life. That's how I had a lawyer and everything else. Hope I didn't get life. Hope I was able to get out eventually at one time because I knew I had a son or I knew I had a child about to be born. So the thing for me was to just try to just get myself together regardless of what the outcome was going to be. I mean, get my life together regardless. And that's why I started going back to school. I got my degree, and then I started self-education. I mean, about developing, trying to figure out who I was and how did I become that person on the street, you know, opposed to being a young kid I grew up as and with morals and scruples and respect, just respect for life, respect for myself, my parents. I mean, so I think we all grew up. I mean, we all were born in that natural state of being, pure and being kind and happy young people, but it's the environment that environment that changes your mindset. Your experience changes your mindset. So before the streets, the trauma that took place, like a lot of the kids and young people and even adults right now still are impacted by the trauma they experienced as a teenager or a child growing up. I mean, and with mine was more so that when I started doing the self-evaluation, when I started working on myself, I started to discover those things that happened to me in my life that made my mind change to be the way it was. I mean, not caring, dehumanizing myself, being void of emotion, and things of that nature. So the mindset was an important key for me. In order for me to make that transformation, I had to change my mindset. You know what I'm saying?
While you were incarcerated, did you find Islam or were you Muslim before?
No, I embraced Islam when I was in prison. I was born. My whole family is from down south, so we all church people. so as I was incarcerated, a lot of my friends were Muslim, but I didn't convert to Islam on the street. But a lot of my friends were Muslim on the street. But my thing was, I was doing a self-evaluation and learning about life. I went back to church inside the prison, and the things that I always questioned as a kid going to church, I started questioning now as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old young man. I started questioning those same things again and started trying to investigate more about the belief I was taught all my life. I mean, then once I investigated, I came to a point where I was just going to believe in God and not religion at all. I came to that point. I mean, until I was I overheard a conversation with a Muslim and a Christian. I mean, a good conversation between a Muslim and a Christian comparing the books. And then I just eavesdropped on the conversation, and then it was curious. And the more I was curious about it, the more I was able to get a book, get a Quran, and start reading the Quran, and just read the chapters of the Quran, where as though I already knew from the Bible, because I knew the Bible verbatim. You know what I'm saying? we've lived practicing in the church, basically. Right? My grandma was a great big preacher in the South, a major preacher in the South, in Virginia, North Carolina. So that's what we grew up on. But when I took my investigation of it, I just came to a point where, though, like, Islam kind of makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? This part makes more sense in the Quran. This part makes more sense to me. So I just started following more and more and more. And then eventually I converted to Islam. That's how I became Muslim.
So now that you're out and you're speaking publicly to about your trials and tribulations and your journey and it went through, how does it feel and what perspective do you bring your journey to the folk, to the kids, to the youth? As I see you speak to a lot of youth.
Yeah, I kind of focus on a holistic approach to like everyone, like adults and young people. I started off mentoring young kids, going to every school in the city of Philadelphia, going to the juvenile centers, going to the prisons on State Road. You know, that's my early years when I was released, like in 2000, 2001, 2002. Then I started seeing the problem more so lies at home. I'm saying not too much with the children, because even the young kids, you may have them for 2 hours, mentoring them, they still got to go back to their own place, their home, where most of their influence is at, in their own house. And I see the need that it has to be a point where, though, not only just mentoring the young people, but also coaching the adults. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see the problem with the young people. I think the young people are just picking up learned behaviors from their environment. I think the problem really lies with the adults, you know, and the trauma they're dealing with and have not dealt with, or just actually spilling that out on the youth. You know, so I don't really fault the youth. I mean, a lot of us, even me, think of myself as a young kid growing up, you know, it's just that I didn't have the tools, or I did have the tools, but no one there to show me the tools to use in order for me to navigate my way through life. And just a lot of us have, young people have mixed managed emotions, and a lot of adults have mixed managed emotions. I mean, so as well. So one of the things I focused on specializing in was that emotional intelligence, which is something that's only taught in the rich communities. It's not taught in our community, you know. And I've seen that as I travel around the country, speaking at these big conferences with 600 millionaires are there. You know what I'm saying, that go to these conferences like we go to clubs and go to bars. But I'm saying to myself, the first shocker was for me when I first went to a conference and spoke, was to be sitting around in the midst of a whole bunch of millionaires continue to educate themselves on their own personal development. And I was wondering, like, why y'all here? You already successful, you're rich, you know. And it's like your personal development is connected to your financial development.
Right. And a lot of people don't understand what emotional intelligence.
Right. Right, exactly. That's why when I started teaching it last 3 years here, it was like pulling teeth, because people really didn't fathom or understand the idea of what that was. Even leadership, even the mayor, even all those dudes I talked to them about implementing emotional intelligence in schools and prisons, and they didn't have a clue what it was or how powerful it is or how impactful it could be in transforming the lives of individuals. You know, so I'm still pushing that envelope here in the city of Philadelphia. I still held emotional intelligence classes every Saturday for free. I just did a big conference at 23rd and Snyder this past Saturday on emotional intelligence and neuroscience, the mindset, how you transform the mindset, how you hack your brain for success. And we had very few people come out, like a good 20, 30 people, when the room should have been up to 300 people packed. But our community is very unaware of the importance of personal development or the tools they need in order for them to actually create a better life for themselves. We're very unaware of that because we lack that kind of education, and you don't know what you don't know. So,
but you know what? And I'm gonna say this because you just made that comment. I'm gonna say that when the police encounter these young men out on the street and they catch them with small amounts of drugs or enough drugs, they should send them to a class like yours,
right,
and make it mandatory that they attend like 1 or 2 sessions, bring back the proof, and then let them go.
Right.
If you don't, then you're gonna learn that same education, but it's just gonna be behind bars.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing is that there are many programs like that here that they are course stipulated for young men who get incarcerated or have house arrest to go to. It's just that they're not providing that kind of information. They don't have that kind of knowledge to teach them. You know, so what I'm doing now, I'm actually in a position to start training individuals that kind of curriculum about emotional intelligence, like paying Philadelphia Anti-Violence Anti-Drug Network, even training their staff to teach the young men and women that they're servicing. So it's just about them getting the training and being equipped enough to share that kind of knowledge and information to them so they can either use them tools once they get out the system or while they're in the system to navigate their way to create a better life for themselves. Because what stands between your success and your failure is your knowledge. I mean, I'm living proof of that because I could have went back to the streets, start selling drugs again, carrying guns again, but because I educated myself, I knew there was a better way for me to, challenge myself to grow in a world where as though I'd never been in before. So coming home, I never had a job before. I never worked for someone before. All I knew how to do was sell drugs. I mean, so I had to really challenge myself and be resourceful within my own means to actually push myself to do things I never did in order to get other outcomes I never did. So the reason why I'm on the stage I am right now, and have received all the accolades and rewards from the city and also from other people around the country, is because I challenged myself to do something new, something different. And that's the reason why I have a documentary on Amazon Prime right now called Behind the Bullet. Also, the documentary done with Fox News got an Emmy Award for it, 2015. Another project I got going on right now in Hollywood, a major project, bigger than all of those two, that me and a brother of the deceased, we are working on together. So we're still working together, doing things and for society, for the communities. Even this RFP movement.
There's a gentleman in the city of Philadelphia, his name just eluded my head. He goes back and talks to people that have been incarcerated and come out and turn their life around. So far, I think he did 3 episodes. He did one on a young lady who came, opened up a soul food restaurant. Another gentleman who said he hadn't seen this spot in Philadelphia for 40 years. This was the last spot that he saw before his crime. And he's going around mentoring. Why such separation of programs? Why y'all don't collaborate?
Why we didn't collaborate?
Yeah, why don't people with great ideas and good programs collaborate in our city?
Oh, we do. Just people got to know each other first. It start off, we got to know each other first, and then it starts off with what are you teaching and educating? I collaborate. Like I said, I've been doing this work for 20 years, so most of everybody who's been doing this work already we know each other. And it's like now I took a year. Hold on a second. I took a year off because of COVID. Well, probably more than a year, probably a couple of years, because when I was traveling, I was still doing some work here in Philly, but I was mostly doing work around the country. But I'm still in touch with people who are actually doing the work out here, and I'm still connected with some people who are doing the work now. So yeah, we do collaborate together. We do things together. Like No Gun Zone, we did the Hope and Healing event this Saturday. We ready to do another Hope and Healing event in April. We're doing one in April. Then with Big McFly, they're doing their tour too as well. So I'll collaborate them on their tour on 52nd Street and Malcolm X Park to speak to the people out there. So we do collaborate a lot. Men United for Better Philadelphia. I work with everybody. Seth Williams, mothers in charge. I collaborate with most everybody in the city that's doing this kind of work. So, and the fact that we don't collaborate, or if we didn't collaborate, it's because the fact we don't know each other.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
So real quick with the event last Saturday, give a little bit of information on that because I know you said that you're going to do another one in April next month.
Right.
So tell
Right.
us a little bit about this event that you are putting together that was last Saturday, so that way people can know that they need to come out next month.
Right.
Some of the things that they're missing.
Okay, so like I said, when I was traveling around the country doing these conferences, I decided, we needed something like this in Philadelphia. We need a conference in Philly and get our people more engaged in learning from conferences, opposed to just learning from school and colleges. So the first one I did was last year. Actually, it was last year. Take Your Life Back conference, and I have several speakers from Philadelphia who may live in different areas now, New York, Washington D.C., that came through the trenches, grew up, got their career going, and became successful. And they came back to start speaking to the community. We had a good probably 80, 90 people there at that event. And what we talked about was financial literacy, things that I'm talking about in our community, their relationship with money. I talk about emotional intelligence. We have other brothers talking about, being stuck in the trap, how you get out the trap. And we had a few speakers. The audience loved it. I mean, it was very impactful, very inspirational, very motivational. So they loved it. And No Guns Zone, we did another event too like that, where we had like 70 people come from Delaware and Jersey and Philly, and all of them loved it. It's like the information is definitely, for most everybody who show up, I have some of the testimonies on my page. You look at my page and let the people talk about for themselves how they felt about the information they received from any of those events. And it exceeded their expectation. Why? Because most of us know to have this information in our mind. We just don't know how to put it together. And what I do, I'll help people actually gather information that they already experienced in their own life or information they heard from someone else and just put the puzzle together. Whereas though you can have a new enlightenment, a new hope, or I should go about it this way. I can go about it that way. Or I can deal with my trauma. I can face my fears. And just give them a whole perspective on life in general, because we're not taught how to live. We're taught how to survive. And with this information, it's teaching you how to live.
That's true. The feedback from the public and from support, not just the Seth Williams and mothers in charge, not them. Let's
Right.
take them and put them to the left for a minute. I'm saying, as far as the public,
Right.
what's the feedback? Do it seem like people are really gravitating to it, or does it seem like it's a pulling teeth?
No. Once you get in the room, all those testimonials I'm talking about are from people who are first time being exposed to that kind of information.
Gotcha.
So that's the testimonies I get. I don't get testimonies from the organizations. I get it from the people, and I want to hear what they're saying so I can know if there's a better way I can service them. I'm saying there's a better way I can deliver the message.
Right.
And like you said, if you go on my page right now, you'll see some testimonials up there too as well. I also do a one-on-one coaching. Now my business turned to one-on-one coaching, where people will call me who may be in a crisis right now, might be stressed right now, might be going through certain things, and I do a one-on-one with them, personal, a one-on-one, like a psychiatrist would do. But with my program, basically, in my curriculum, is helping you find yourself within that trouble, within that struggle, within that trauma, helping you identify what the problems are. And as you identify, I'm not telling you what to do or tell you how to think. I'm teaching you how to think. You know what I'm saying? And basically, when most people get done with that one-on-one session, some people just need one one-on-one session. Some people might come back for 2 or 3 for other things, but most people only need one session. I had a few people that go see psychiatrists and said, "Look, I ain't getting nothing out of medication. I want to come see you. I heard about your one-on-ones, so I want to come see you." So when they came to see me, I just reverse engineered their life basically and showed them that this is where the problem lies. The same way I did with myself. That's how I was able to transform my own life when I was in prison. I didn't have a psychiatrist. I didn't have a life coach. I didn't have a counselor. I had to do that on my own. And because of the success I had with my own life in general, people start saying, okay, well, I got to see what he's talking about. I got to see what he's teaching. And not only that, but other psychiatrists. I'm saying when I go out and speak and I'm in front of these 600 audience, 1,000 people in the audience, these people are educated. They went to school for neuroscience. They went to school for emotional intelligence. They know, but I know what I'm talking about now. I mean,
Right.
so the thing is the fact that I want to bring that information here. And that's the reason why I'm trying to create the RFP um, home base out there on 23rd and Snyder and revamp the whole building so we can have those kind of teachings in our community. And hopefully we can get the young people to understand the importance of emotional intelligence where they can manage their emotions better. They won't be so upset. They won't have so many layers of anger, so many layers of trauma. Even for adults, won't have so many layers of anger and trauma. I mean, until they go into deep depression. You know what I'm saying? Slight mental illness. So these are the things that are affecting us. And once you understand how your thoughts and how your feelings shorten your lifespan, then you will start trying to think more healthier and think more positive, opposed to thinking the way we've been taught to think.
Gotcha. Real quick, Mr.
Well-
Mr. Fastlane, you got anything? Mr. Fastlane, any questions or anything? Because I know you deal with a lot of individuals that are incarcerated and stuff like that. So I definitely want to bring you to the forefront.
I dealt with a lot of people that was incarcerated. As of last month, February 16th, I retired from the Philadelphia prisons. I walked away. So I really don't have any questions. I'm just listening and learning.
Okay, Simply D.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the brother, how do you teach people to change their way of thinking so that they don't fall into an emotional depression?
Well, one of the key factors is if they gotta want it, they gotta want to change. And then once they want to change, it's basically now giving them the tools or sharpening their tools to understand where is this thinking coming from, right? Because basically your thoughts are the language of your mindset. Your feelings are the language of your body. And once you understand what you're communicating to yourself, then that's when you can really start understanding how you're operating, how you function. And one of the things I look at to a person is that we all are a record of our experience. And because of our experience, it makes us see the way we see, gives us our perception on life, and how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about other people. So once we start understanding who we are, and saying how we are made, we can start understanding ourselves more and start making better choices. Because when you it's a whole thing you break down. There's a whole breakdown to everything that goes along with life in general. Now, when you talk about life, my program called the Human System. We talk about the human system is more so understanding yourself. Now, one of the questions I always ask people in any session or any class or any conference, the question I ask them is, who are you? Not your name, not your title, not who you work for, but actually, who are you? What are you made up of? You know what I'm saying? And people struggle with that. If I ask you what a doctor is and you're a doctor, you're going to break it down. If I ask you what a ball player is, what a ball player does, you'll break that down. But I ask people, who are they? And I challenge them to ask them, who are you? If I was an alien coming to Philadelphia and I ran into you and I'm going to ask you, who are you or what are you? How can you describe that? And most people can't describe it. So we're in an identity crisis. If you're in an identity crisis, you can't really understand who you are and what you're capable of becoming and doing. I mean, so we start from there first. And then as we start from there, we start working on to, okay, one of the most important keys to personal development is reflection. Because reflection becomes your freedom. And because reflection is the freedom, is the simple fact that we have to take self-inventory. Because if it's our experience that makes us who we are, then a lot of us don't really know our experience, or we forget our experience because we study pushing through life day after day after day after day. Another experience, another experience, another experience. You're just going through life, and not knowing that all the things you dealt with, all the trauma you face, that's really shaping your ideas, shaping your mindset, and shaping how you feel about yourself in the world. I mean, so once you start reflecting on that, you say, oh, I became this way because of this. I became this way because of that. I know I became fearless because when I was 13 years old, my boyfriend put a gun to my head. So that's what triggered those kind of emotions, that trauma. I mean, that made me fearless of death when I was young, or when I was in the street. You know?
What kind of person did you become because of being incarcerated?
Well, basically, when I was incarcerated, I kind of used that as my foundation to grow. I mean, so I turned the state penitentiary into my Penn State. I was just educating myself the whole time. I mean, so I was all about personal development and personal growth. I knew I had some things I had to work on. I had to work on my anger. I had to work on my vocabulary. You know, my way of communicate with people, because I was a shy kid growing up. I'm an introvert by nature, so I didn't do a lot of talking. I do a lot of speaking. Like now, I do a whole bunch of speaking. I'm surprised at how I speak so much right now, because I got something to say, and I know what's need to be said. But when I was a kid, I was the quietest person in the house. I mean, so I had to really develop my speech. I had to develop my diction. I had to develop a lot of things. So I was just really working on myself, finding my weaknesses are and my strengths are. You know, and that's why I became the person I am today, because I challenged myself to go against the grain. I challenged myself to detach myself from the person I was on the street to become a new person.
Did you do a lot of reading while you were incarcerated?
No, I didn't. Only in religion. I mean, like I said, when I first got to jail, I started studying the Bible all over again. Then I got to Islam, I started studying Islam. There wasn't no really books there that will help you on personal development. A lot of people ask me that question. What books did you read? So most of my self-evaluation and knowledge about self came from me studying the Quran, or me just really digging deep within myself and finding those tools that I had in myself in order for me to be able to navigate while I was in the system. You know what I'm saying? Because I know people become institutionalized, they let the bid do them instead of them doing the bid, you know, or they have all this thinking, because there's a lot of negative energy going on. There's a lot of emotions, an emotional place to be in. So with me, I had to learn how to control my emotions better. I had to learn how to manage my anger better, because these are things I know was going to challenge me when I got off the street. I mean, because I'm in prison, I no drugs around me. I mean, no guns around me, nothing like that. So I really had to challenge myself to say, okay, I'm done with that. I'm convicted in my heart that I'm done with that lifestyle. And once I go out, not to be tempted to go back into the streets, not to be tempted to go back to hustle, no matter what kind of position I am financially. I mean, because I was used to having money, especially as a kid, because I hustled a lot. But now I'm coming home to work for a 9 to 5. What's the same thing I said to myself? I don't work for 7 cents and 9 cents an hour in jail, so I can do that in the street. I don't wear the same Browns for 10 years, so I ain't got to worry about dressing real nice and that. So I kind of humbled myself and understood that what word I always use, how I was ran by. I can't remember right now. It probably comes to me, but I knew that I had to humble myself when we come out in the street, and I had to be patient and not try to just catch up with everybody else. The Joneses and my friends were still hustling and selling drugs and doing all the things they was doing. I had to really detach myself from my friends too as well, and just really go on my own purpose and focus. See, in life, a lot of people don't move in purpose; they just move. I mean,
Right.
I learned to move in purpose. That means I have a focus, I have a direction, I have a plan, I have a goal that I'm trying to achieve. So I can't be distracted by no nonsense. You know, so that's one of the things I stuck to. I learned that in prison. I mean, I always have a plan, so I start planning my day every day. You know, what I'm doing from the morning to night until I go to bed. I started challenging myself to be uncomfortable. I started learning how to cut hair, because I didn't know how to cut hair when I was in jail. I learned how to cut hair when I came home, when I got a job, because I couldn't get a job nowhere else because of my record. So I challenged myself to be uncomfortable in the setting of a public setting, where as though I'm not used to dealing with people, because like I said, I was an introvert. Not used to dealing with people with attitude, and I wasn't good at cutting hair, so I was gonna get some attitude from people at the time. So a lot of stuff I just challenged myself to do. I mean, and a lot of us don't challenge ourselves enough, or we don't want to be uncomfortable enough to change. But only uncomfortability allows change. Comfort don't bring change. Only uncomfortability allows change.
I was going to ask you that. Do you feel as though people are so comfortable that when change comes, that's what gets them mad and move different?
Well, see, what change is that change is going to happen inevitably. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional.
Right.
I'm saying, so if you want to grow, then you have to be uncomfortable, or life will force you to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know you said that you had some testimony videos on your page. Can you give our viewers and our listeners your page so they can go and look at some of those uh, videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have 3 pages, but my main page is Latif _ Muhsin, MUHSIN, LATIF _ MUHSIN.
And that's on Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Facebook is Will Little or Will Latif Little.
Cool. Simply D, you got another question? I know he's working, so at the same time he listening, he's jumping in and out. So
Right.
that's why I try to, Mr. Fastlane, I see you shaking your head. You don't have nothing. All the years all the years you work with different individuals, you tell them you ain't got one question? Because you unmute yourself. Unmute yourself first. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I've worked with some very intelligent brothers throughout the years. My years working in the prison. So absolutely not. It doesn't surprise me to hear, an intelligent brother that's out here that's making moves and doing positive things, and it's good stuff. So it's just me just sitting here listening, and learning, because that's what we need to do. We need to sometimes just subdue our passion and just learn and just listen instead of always speaking. So today I'm just listening.
Got you. And I think that's one of the main things that I appreciate you, Will, for doing is sometimes people don't want to listen to people that haven't been through anything.
Right.
So with the different experiences in life that you've been through, and then be willing to, lay it out and tell individuals that's out here doing certain things, that's the first thing that people say is, man, you don't know nothing about my lifestyle. You don't know what I'm going through. Because I hear it a lot from different people, and I'll be like, wait a minute, just because you see me doing like films and radio and all the different things and working, trust me, I'm from Abbotsford Projects. I've learned a lot and been through a lot and done a lot. So, when people say that, it's like, you'd rather listen to someone teaching out of a book, which is not knocking that.
Right.
But instead of listening to somebody that's been through the trenches and been through different things, that's trying to give you knowledge and what pathway you walking down. It's not like, individuals haven't walked down that same path. It's just that, God willed it that you're able to tell that experience and also educate to try to have people avoid going down that same path. So and I always tell people that you'd rather spend $40,000-$50,000 to go learn from somebody from a book, or somebody that's giving free knowledge. You're not even taking that time to just sit and listen.
Right.
And that, I definitely want to salute you for taking time and definitely doing that. So what's the game plan? Like, what's the future plans? 5-year plans, 5 years. What are you trying to? I know what you're doing, what you've done, and what you're doing now. But what's the whole game plan and goal? Because I know that you're trying to more so get the building up and running. So what's the game plan? Say we 5 years in. What's the movement? What's the plan?
Well, right now, I mean, one of the things I'm gonna travel. I'm still gonna start traveling again around the country once things start open up again. But also, I want to try to establish a conference here in Philadelphia. Have the city provide just resources to do a conference, at least like every quarter of the year in different parts of the city, where though we can all come in, we can really get the education we need as adults and as young people to help us, grow and become the best versions of ourselves. And once people understand the importance of information and knowledge that'll help change the trajectory of their life, then we'll be more geared towards going to these kind of conferences, meeting people who are very positive and motivational, having accountability partners that help us get through whatever journey we on, or whatever goals we got set for ourselves. And that's the kind of community we got to build. We got to build that kind of community and get people who are like minds, so we're really trying to grow together, so we can all, push each other, and then hopefully that'll spill over to the masses, where the masses just follow, and they just follow behind something that's good and something great. So that's my journey. I want to do more conferences every quarter of the year, different parts of the city, and also just establish this RFP mentoring program to be the #1 program in the city to help young people and adults. And then many other things. I got other projects working on outside of the state right here too. But like I said, we working on a big project in California. So that come to between this year and next year, then that's another major thing, another major accomplishment that can also create more opportunities.
How can people here in the city of Philadelphia help? Like, what can they do to support, everything that you're doing? Because when it comes down to it, basically what you're doing is helping the city, you're helping the community, you're helping children, you're helping, as everybody always throwing out there, change your your mindset.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
Right.
So how can like, you know, people help?
Well, I mean, for one, if you want to donate to the GoFundMe page for the RIP, you can do that too. On my page, you'll find the information on my Latif Mohsen page or my Will Little page. You'll find the information on there. If you want to donate some money for that, whatever, you can. Also, you can come to the free classes. You know, come to the free classes. I have one this Saturday, actually, on 18th and Sullis, a Nicetown section. 18th and Sullis, that's near Ogons, 18th and Ogons. So around 12 o'clock, I do a free emotional intelligence workshop at 12 o'clock at the Tough Love Cafe. And that's in Nicetown section of Philadelphia. So if you want to come there on Saturday, you can show up there if you want to. Just follow my page and I'll give you more information about the conference, the next one-day conference coming in April. And then whatever else we got going on, you can also, you know, check that out too. Just follow my page and you'll find all the information you need. You can check out the documentary called Behind the Bullet on Amazon Prime. Check that out and see if they'll open your eyes to some things or inspire you to do some things too as well. And mainly that's it. You know, if you need to contact me, need a coach, if you need a one-on-one session, a coaching session, go to my page and just look at some of the one-on-one sessions I've done already. If you're in a crisis, your mindset, you're trying to focus on just trying to achieve different goals that you have desired to achieve this year. Are you trying to reinvent yourself some kind of way? You just need more information and more awareness to that. Then just book a coaching session. They're real cheap, $70. I ain't charging $500 and $1,000, but I only charge $70 for our people for an hour and 15 minutes to have that one-on-one sit down, and we can just go dive deep into your life and how we can actually help you discover new things about yourself and change the trajectory of your whole life. You know. Also, I also want to mention too, I have a free book club on Sunday nights dealing with personal development. The book club is very powerful. It's growing. There's people from all around the country that's involved in it. And the book we're studying is right now is this book right here. Let's see if I can see it.
I got that book.
Yeah, you got.
You can't. Yeah, they can't say it because the virtual back drop.
Okay.
Yeah, but real quick, we ain't rushing you off yet. We got some time. But we got time. We got some time.
Okay, yeah, I got time.
Wait a minute. One second, Dark. Real quick, give me 1 second. Simply D, go ahead, because I know you at work, and since you got unmuted, real quick, go ahead.
Yes, I was going to ask the brother. Like, I want you to. My name is Tony Hannah Dennis on Facebook. I want you to look for my Facebook page so that you can promote that class and your classes on my page. That was something I think people would really be interested in. So if you don't mind, I would appreciate it if you sent me a friend request so that I could promote that on my page.
Okay, Tony. Okay, I gotta remember that name.
I got you. I'll send it to you. Get off. I'll make sure you follow. I got you.
Okay.
All right, Dark.
All right. The question I wanted to ask is, Behind the Bullet. Can you tell us a little bit? You mentioned it real fast. I jotted it down. Tell me where, I think you said Amazon. Give me a little who, what, when, where, how.
Well, you know, it's on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, it's on Fandango, it's on Hulu, it's on a few, like 29 different streaming networks. It's a documentary about me and 3 other individuals around the country who actually took someone's life and now how they're living with that particular incident, and how they're functioning, and how things are working for them in their life right now. So it's a real powerful story. Just get people to think about before they pull the trigger, what happens to the individual, you know, after they take someone's life. You know, because we're in a environment where as though it's kill or be killed, and everybody thinking killing is the way to solve problems. You know, and what you do sometimes create other problems, mental and emotional problems, if you're not strong enough to handle that or deal with that.
That's the
So
book, right?
the art not giving a fuck. Yep, that's the book right there. Yeah, that's it.
That's the book that Will was talking about for everybody.
For the book club on Sunday night.
Yeah, so for everybody that wanted to know, that's the book that he was holding up. I know a lot of people couldn't see it, but that's the book.
So spell out the whole name. Say the whole name of the book. So Mark, those that challenged and can't read can get it.
Yeah, The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's on YouTube too. It's audio on YouTube. You can just listen to the audio on YouTube and just listen to the book there. And then if you want to come on Sunday night, just follow me on Instagram and I'll give you the link. You can sit in and just listen, or you can actually chime in to what spoke to you in that book and that chapter. And that's what we really do. We just have a conversation about what sticks out. The author really speaks about some real powerful stuff about problem solving, how we see ourselves, what we do care about, what we don't care about. That's what the art of not giving a fuck is. Things you really won't give a fuck about, or you don't want to give a fuck about. Not really to avoid your emotions or negate your emotions and feelings, because that's a part of a human being, being emotional.
Mhm.
So we go into that really deep, and it's open some eyes. On how we see things, and it's all about your perception. And some people perception is not reality, but it's reality to them. So it's about the shaping the narrative, shaping the mindset, and make sure we get the most out of life while we're living. So
Yeah, you got me. I got to get back on there. I listen to you muted, Dark. I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I'm always moving around. So when I'm working, I actually had the headphones in and I listen to it. And I got to get back on there. I think I got like 5 hours left, so I just got started with the book. And it's funny because I had that book probably for like a year, I think now, and I just went into another book instead of coming back to that. So when I saw you post that on your social media, I said, man, I gotta get back into that book because
yeah,
that's it's definitely an interesting book. Do
it's
we
real
have
good.
any books coming? Do you have any books coming out or anything?
Well, my book, I only have one book up now. My autobiography is ICY, Life and Times of Will Little. I have some of those books myself. We come to a class and I can sell you one of the class, but you can go on Amazon and order the book off of Amazon. If you want to send it to somebody in jail, you can send it to somebody in jail from Amazon too, or somewhere in the country. It's like a 4 or 5 star book. The ratings go up and down based on who's judging the book on Amazon, but it's a really, really good book, I believe, and everybody else believes. So just check it out. It just tells my transformation, tells my story, and how I became the person I am today. But I'm working on another book also called 7 Steps of Transformation, and it's teaching the emotional intelligence and the neuroscience and the human system. Is teaching that in that book. So I'm still in the pre stages of that book right now. Hopefully I get it done by the end of the year or next year sometime.
Okay. Well, we had
So
some
why do you
some
think,
people.
Will, that our young folks are not getting it?
Say again?
Why do you think our young folks are not getting it?
Because they're not being taught properly. There's a lack of education. A lot of the young people, they want to learn. They don't want to live in that life. Even the dudes on the street. I'm a barber, so I've been around young men all since I've been home. And it's not the fact that they don't want to be doing the right thing. It's the fact that they get pulled in, they get influenced by their condition, their mind state, and their environment. And a lot of guys that's in the game or the shooting game, whatever, they want to be out of it, but because of their loyalty to their homies or their friends or their fear, they can't get out unless they move or relocate. So you see a lot of the murders that's happening right now because the individuals are doing stuff and forgetting they did it. Not forgetting, like literally forgetting, but not knowing how to change their life after they pull a gun on somebody or shoot somebody or maybe kill somebody. They had no second plan. They had no what you call consequential thinking. We got to teach them consequential thinking and proactivity to be more proactive in their thought process.
Simply D, what you got? I see you raise your hand on here.
Well, does your program help change the attitude of young Black women?
Say that again?
Does your program help change the attitude of young Black women?
Yeah, of course. If you change the attitude of yourself, it's all about how you see yourself. It reflects on someone else. Most of the negative energy is the deflection of who you are, not the person you're dealing with. So a lot of people are hurt. So hurt people, and they hurt them in that way too, verbally, physically. emotionally.
So let me ask you a quick question. Since everything that was going on last year, do you see emotional, how do you word it? Because of everything
Intelligence.
that's going on, yeah.
Mm.
You see a change?
Oh yeah, of course, of course. I mean, I had a young man who was his aunt reached out to me, and I'm ready to switch over to my computer because my phone ready died.
Okay.
So I had a young man that a young lady that reached out to me for her nephew, and her nephew was going through a real hard time. He feels as though he was going to either get killed or kill somebody on the street, or he was cursing his mom out really badly and telling her he wish he dies. He's punching holes in the wall. Hold on a second. He was punching holes in the walls in his house. And then when I sat down with him just one time, and we had that conversation, had a man-to-man conversation with him, and I told him about how to deal with his emotions, how to deal with his feelings. He was lacking his father in his life. So that's one of the main problems that he had. And I was telling him the same thing. I grew up without my father. I see my father like 5 times in my whole life, and that's 3 times when I was adult. So when I started
Wait, somebody got a
connecting with him,
TV on and it's
can you hear
drowning.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Somebody got a TV on and it's drowning his vocals. I can't hear him. I hear the TV, but I don't know who it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. You good.
So when he started connecting with me, then we just had that kind of connection. That's what you got to build, a connection with people. And when you build a connection with them, like my audience or my crowd, or my class, I make sure I set the connection, which is the right energy and frequency that we're on. So we can really have that kind of conversation, which digs a little deeper than a normal conversation. So after that one time, changed his whole life around. And graduated from school. He wasn't going to school at first. He graduated from school with honors. Have more respect for his mom right now, even to this day. That's like 3 years ago. And now he's still, I was going to have him on Channel 10 with me because Channel 10 did this. I just did something with Channel 10 on the issue of violence and gun violence in the city probably like a month ago. And they wanted to bring that interview onto the Channel 10 News to show the transformation that this young man had within an hour session. And most people, when you see on my page, the testimonials, they say, look, I've been here for an hour and 15 minutes or 2 hours and it already inspired me to do so much more. So it's just the fact that the information is not being provided. The service is not being provided for the community because a lot of these people in leadership roles, they have reached their ceiling when it comes to information, right? And the one thing you got to do, if you're a leader or if you're a teacher, you got to continue to educate yourself. The more value you bring to yourself, the more value you can bring to your students or your listeners or your community. And that's what we're not doing. So that's why I had to leave Philly. I had to get out of here. Like I done reached the ceiling here. I done connected with everybody here, and I feel as though I need to grow more. So I was able to branch out. Connect with an organization that I came a part of called One Life Fully Live in California, and then trickle into that. I just connected with this person, that person, this person, this person. Robert Kiyosaki is another friend of mine. Robert Kiyosaki with Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we developed a great relationship. Because he was teaching about financial literacy and everything else. Actually, he gave me like three of his games right here called powerful, great games. You can use that with kids too as well. I'm gonna use this in my classrooms when I start teaching the RFP movement again. Cash flow. Cash flow is a very significant game that teaches you your relationship with money. And most of our problems are coming from money. But most people don't know that most of our emotions are connected to our money too. We spend out of emotion. So if I'm going through something, I'm gonna go buy some food, buy some clothes, get my hair done, buy some alcohol, some drugs. Why? To make me feel a little bit better. We're trying to fix the problem. We're not solving it. So you fix the problem always gonna return. You solve a problem, you don't have to go back to that problem. You just move on from that problem.
Got 99 problems and they continue to revolve. And if you solve one, you create another one. So it's always 99.
Right, exactly. So you're recycling the same problems over and over again. So you're not really growing through it.
Mark, that's gotta be you with the radio. It's drowning.
No, I'm muted.
Everybody else is muted.
No, I'm muted. That's Will TV. That ain't us. That's it. Because I muted everybody just to see who it was. That's Will. That's not me.
Yeah, that's me.
Look, you see how she blaming me?
The computer picked it up. Yeah.
No, that wasn't us.
My bad.
Look, that's why I muted all the hosts to see, was it us or was it? Look.
Right.
So what's up with the shirts? Are you still doing the peace shirts and?
No, not now. I kind of just put that on hold because I was so busy doing everything else.
Right.
And I'll probably bring it back sooner or later. Once I get everything organized and focused, again, I probably help the young men and women, teach them how to actually brand their own shirts too as well. That's one of the things we're going to bring to the table. I have a lot of partners and friends in the city that we're going to actually, like we did before in the barbershops, we brought a lot of people who are from different genres and different forms of work to come in and share with them their experience, their career. And I was blessed to have like some of the guys from The Wire to come to the barbershop, talk to the kids, because The Wire is popular around the time too as well. Young black man from the Philadelphia Orchestra, he's like 20 years old. The brother Smack from Deaf Art, teaching about airbrushing and things of that nature. So we had a lot of people come in and pour into the young people. But now with this program right here, we're gonna have that same community of people, individuals to pour into them, but also my other organizations outside of the state. I mean, from all over the country to come in to pour into a lot of these young men, these entrepreneurs, these wealthy entrepreneurs to come in and actually teach young people how to build businesses from scratch, also financial literacy, all those different things. So we're going to have a wealth of information in this facility that we are putting together.
It's nice. It's nice to have a facility, isn't it? Now you can really do exactly what you want to do and bring people to the forefront to make things happen.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely, when I saw that, I was like, that's what's up, because there's nothing like having a headquarters that you can actually move out and do everything that you want to do without trying to rent a spot and people want you to get out this time and that. Exactly. More freedom to be able to move. Yeah. So that's, now where's that location at again?
That's 23rd and Snyder, right across from Yasha Hall.
Okay.
So we also had the Yasha Hall building too, the big building they did today with the vaccine thing. So that's why I do my poetry and motion shows at. So we still have that hall too for performances or for conferences, but the classes room is gonna be across the street in another building.
Oh, okay.
Now you touched on poetry. Since you brought it up, let's talk about it. What's up with the poetry?
Well, I've been doing a reunion. I just started doing a reunion with my group, with the team. The last 2 months, yesterday we had a reunion, poetry and motion reunion, with everybody who was in poetry and motion. We had like probably 60 or 70 members in that group, and a lot of them are scattered out across the country now. Two of them moved and got their new lives together. But we plan on doing another show if things open up to 75% capacity by the summertime. I plan on doing like a welcome back show or the best of poetry and motion show again. So I know our viewers, our supporters loved it. They loved the show. I mean, it was one of the shows that you probably won't see nowhere else. But we want to bring that back. I want to continue that too as well. I want to take it on tour as well too. Once I get everything on point with the mentoring programs and stuff like that. I do want to take that on tour because it's all about health and mental health, emotional health within those poems and that comedy stretch and stuff like that. So everything I was doing surrounded my growth. And awareness. So poetry and motion was one of those. Like I took poetry and motion in the prisons. We did school tours with Snicker Villa and all that stuff like that with poetry and motion. So we've been around North Carolina with Hoops and all them down to some of the Steelers. So we did a lot of work in the last, I'll say 18 years with members in the group of poetry and motion. So it's arts and education that way. So it's the way we tackle education through the arts and real life stories through poetry,
All right, well, let's do time check. It's 8 o'clock and you're listening to Sadior Presents an Open Conversation. We in here talking to the brother Will Little. Very inspirational. Give me your IG page again so they can reach out to you.
Latif, Latif _Muhsin, MUHSIN.
And the one that was the quiet one for the night, he's always there. You know, the brother that don't ever needs an introduction. Let them know you here.
Yeah, because people listening and they probably don't even know you on. Look.
What are you talking about?
What do you think I'm talking about?
Look.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy, and I'm back in the building.
Definitely is always. And you know the man that always gets it wrong, but gets it right at the same time. Mr. Simply D, what's going on?
Let's see if he can unmute himself.
It
He
takes
be
him more.
multitasking. Let's see.
It takes him more. He's in the bathroom with that man, but it takes some time, but he'll get there. It was a pleasure having you on this evening.
Definitely.
Very enlightening. We always great having you come back and speak with us. We apologize for the shortness and delay, Mark going to the dentist and us moving around, but life is what life is after COVID has given us all a new life.
Right.
Believe it or not, it was still good because we still got to do that whole hour.
Yep.
So we got a lot of information, and I got a couple people I definitely want to read their comments. They said, love the story. She's from the islands over there. I always get it mixed up. I know it's over there near Jamaica and stuff. That's where she at. And also we have keep it up. Our people need to hear and help. Keep up the great work. So we got some people that definitely commented on here. And for everybody that missed it, like I always say, y'all can always go back to YouTube. It'll be uploaded within the half an hour on our YouTube channel, Sadior Radio. And Will, one thing I want to definitely put out there for you is anything, because it's been too long that you've been on with us. I think you said 5 years you came on.
Right.
That's a shame and a disgrace.
Yeah, we got to definitely have you on more as you make these moves. That's one thing that Sadior and Open Conversation, period, likes to do is to spotlight different things that you're going on. Like Simply D said, follow him so he can promote.
Okay.
One thing, and I'm not sending no shots at nobody. I'm just saying, as far as where we stand, is that we like to promote, period. Here, when people making moves, there's no, I'll send you a bill or cash at me. None of that. It's more so give us the information so we can spread it on. And since the last time you was on with us, we grew because now the radio station is in North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Philly, and New York. We have different shows that's on this station. So, it's good that you told me that. I think you travel because one thing that I definitely would like to do is hook you into, those individuals that's in different cities. So that way they can promote that you're going to be in a North Carolina or New York or wherever you're going to be to help promote this movement that you're doing, because it's very important to us as people, period, women and men, little girls and young men, because we need to start thinking different and moving different. That's the only way we really gonna win,
Right. Exactly.
To have that type of mind frame that, we move different instead of just jumping out and just doing crazy stuff that basically can change your life forever and not in a positive way.
Yeah, one bad decision, one bad choice, change your whole life.
Like somebody used to tell me growing up, it's easy to get in trouble, but it's hard as hell to get out of it. Look,
for sure.
Miss Darkchild, unmute yourself real quick before we end. I see you saying something. Nope, still can't hear you.
I said you ain't never lied.
Yeah, definitely.
It's hard.
So
we appreciate you coming in. And one last thing, I'm dying to get off this radio because I want to go see Behind the Bullet. I'm curious. I got it written down and it's right here in front of me. Whoever I get ready to talk to, one of my homies is going through it. Her brother was one that got murdered at the prison last night. Oh, wow. 43 minutes after he was released.
Yeah, I seen that too. No guns on please.
So I'm fuddling phone calls between her emotions and their emotions. So I just want to make sure that everybody's okay and stand in peace and in faith. So I definitely want to go and watch this Behind the Bullet and send my prayers out to everybody.
Absolutely.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Again, thanks, Will. I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Any information, anything you got, please make sure you inbox it to me. April, I'm gonna look for that April date so people can come out there. And we were actually filming. That's why I couldn't make it Saturday. Because I know you sent me that flyer. So I definitely send me the date as soon as you got it, so I don't schedule no shootings as far as the filming and stuff like that. And I can try to make it out there.
Okay,
All
great.
right?
Yep, indeed.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks everybody for checking out Sadior Presents Open Conversation Show here on Sadior Radio. Check us out first Thursday here on Sadior Radio for our next topic. Again, Mr. Fastlane, Simply D, Ms. Darkchild, I appreciate y'all. Be safe, much love, and we are out.